Hey Trekkies, it's summer, and you know what that means. It's time for Creation Entertainment's Trek to Las Vegas 2025. This year, the convention has been expanded to a 5-day schedule, August 6th through the 10th at the Rio Las Vegas Hotel. Meet all your favorite Star Trek pros in one place, and hey, maybe you swing by Vic's Lounge and you see our panel. It's a great way to meet people in person and have some fun with your fellow Trekkies. If you can't make it to Star Trek Las Vegas, of course, there's also other events around the country this year. Trek to Orlando, August 23rd through 24th. There's the Trek to New Jersey, September 6th and 7th. And finally, the Trek to Chicago, November 22nd and 23rd. We're looking forward to meeting as many of you as we can this year. So make sure that you get ready to trek to Las Vegas.
This is Yetide Badaki, and you're listening to Open Pike Night. This whole podcast is out of order.
Is this thing on? Hello, hello. Welcome to Open Pike Night, the Strange New Worlds podcast where your calls are the prime directive. I'm your host, John T. Bolds, here tonight with our amazing guests and our wonderful callers on stage to help us welcome the woman who would absolutely help out an Open Pike Night host and not just let us pass out in the lobby. But first, let me introduce my co-hosts. The man who just keeps adding fake ribbons to his formal dress uniform, I'm pretty sure. As far as I can tell, he's king of Starfleet and a Klingon god, Jesse Bailey.
Well, the Klingons slew their gods, so they needed new ones.
And the man who turned his back on his people to try and fit in another world. But unlike Una, he was welcomed and brought many of his people with him. Must be that Alaskan privilege. Host of Green Shirt, a newbie Trek to the Next Generation, Cameron.
Portland, Oregon isn't completely populated by former Alaskans yet, but it's a start. It's a start.
And tonight we have a fantastic guest on the Open Pike Night stage. A performer with a presence full of so much gravity she caused a singularity with her performance as Illyrian powerhouse attorney Nira Khatul in the Star Trek Strange New Worlds episode Ad Astra Per Aspera. She was so fantastic in her role as a passionate defender that we didn't even notice when she stole the show. Welcome, Yetide Badaki, to Open Pike Night.
Thank you for having me, and I must say, live long and prosper, y'all.
Oh, fantastic.
Right back at
and I enjoyed that line too much, but obviously everybody noticed when you stole the show. So fantastic work.
As you'll hear tonight.
Yeah.
You were too kind, too kind. No, it's as you said, as you know, for me, it's always such a pleasure when I can talk Star Trek, do Star Trek, anything Star Trek. I can't even talk. I'm so excited about Star Trek.
Fantastic.
We know that feeling.
Well, let's head back a little before Star Trek then, and maybe let you collect yourself. How did you get the acting bug? Where did that come from?
Oh, how much time do you have? Because this goes all the way back, literally, to being a young girl in Nigeria. And I have a very large family. My grandfather on my father's side had quite a few wives, and on average, they had quite a few children. So, basically, it was a village full of people, which meant we always had people coming through the house and a lot of elders coming through the house. And the power would go out quite often in Nigeria at that time. And even though we had a generator, my family would take it as a cue, a moment to kind of slow down. And at night, they'd build a fire, and all the elders that came through the house would be telling stories. And I just remember as a child just being pulled by the magic of that. I thought storytelling was so incredible, so powerful, and I just knew I wanted to do that. I didn't know what that looked like, but it drew me. I said, I want to do that. So the first time I got to go up on a stage and audition in kindergarten for Peter Pan, they were taking 2 kindergartners to be the Lost Boys, the twins. And I got up on that stage, said the first line, and I went, that's it. That's the thing. And I got the part. My twin was a blonde French girl. I mean, obviously, and from then on, I always make that correlation too, from that first moment by the fire to also that first moment that we were in the living room then watching a new show that had come on, a certain thing called Star Trek Next Generation.
Ah.
And I just knew then. I mean, that's where my worldview was formed, because I said, I understood that there couldn't be, a perfect person. They all, had their flaws, but the team together could be perfection and moving forward towards things. So it was there that I said, okay, I know I like the stories by the fire. I know I like being on stage, and I want to do even more.
Correct me if I'm misremembering, guys. Wasn't Melissa Navios one of her first acting gigs a Peter Pan school play?
I think so.
I think that was her first.
Sure, yeah.
Well, of course. We all started, anyone worth their salt started with Peter Pan.
That's right. Yeah. That's what my career is missing. No Peter Pan.
No Peter Pan.
Well, from Peter Pan, you did eventually make your way onto our TV screens. I want to talk about one of your first roles. I think it was one of your first ones. One of my favorite shows. I know you're only in one scene, but what can you tell us about your time on Lost?
Oh, my goodness. Lost. Yeah, that's what got me my union card. SAG-AFTRA. Cool. They brought me on as SAG-AFTRA for that one. I had 3 lines, blink and you will miss me. It was in The Shape of Things to Come, which is
great
such
episode.
Right? And
So
also
good.
just the title of, you're starting out as an actor, and this is The Shape of Things to Come. I thought they were going to somehow use technology to, key me into the scene with Michael Emerson. Because I'm going, well, it's 3 lines. And it's like, no, we're flying you to Hawaii. And it was, and he was just so, so lovely, because here's this fresh, eager, nervous actor, and he was just so funny. Every time you hit they said cut, he would just be hilarious. And then it says action, and then he's got that Ben stare. It was just brilliant. It was a wonderful masterclass. It was such a beautiful introduction into the world. And being a nerd, you're going, listen, anything genre? Yes, please, and thank you.
Well, I know you said it's blink and you miss it, but when I looked it up and realized what episode it was, I was like, I bet I know which character she was. And I rewatched it, and I think it's because it's 3 lines, but it's one of the classic time travel exchanges. So if I may have a geek moment, Yetide, if we can play a little scene here, not the exact scene, but the type of scene it is. Yetide, what's the date?
September 24th.
What year?
2004.
Great, thanks.
I'm trying to remember what year it was. You understand that's over a decade ago now.
Well, I was going to say, it didn't have to be the exact scene, but that's great. That was a moment for me. Thank you. That was just one of those classic scenes in every time travel story, and you got to be part of it. You got to be that part.
To be a part of it, yes.
And you played it perfectly. So,
and people can come fact check me, going, no, that's not the date. That's not what you said to him. But you know what? I'm actually even proud that I was like, wait, no, that sounds familiar. I think.
I mean, you went right into the accent and everything. I was impressed. Yeah. Wow.
Blessed. But yeah, thank you for that. That was a nice trip down memory lane.
Well, we'll take some more trips down some of your other acting roles too, but I do want a pit stop real quick. You wrote and starred in a short film that you funded in Hollywoodland, I believe is the name.
That's correct.
What can you tell us about that, and if it's available to view anywhere? I tried finding it.
Right. So, I mean, there's some exciting discussions happening. So people, I want to say it may take a few years depending on what's happening with this company, but you'll have something, you should be able to view it. But this was when I was shooting American Gods. And actually, I was also shooting, I can tell you this story, side, non sequitur, but it actually does tie back in. I was shooting American Gods in Toronto. I had decided to make this a short with some incredible performers. Jessica Sharif also directed it. Dominic Burgess was in it, which, if you know genre, he's been in pretty much everything that's amazing in genre. And with Jan Richards. And so we're going to shoot this thing in LA. And I'm coming from Toronto, just finished shooting, could hop on the plane, get to LA, get into the meeting for this, go into costuming for This Is Us, get back the first thing in the morning. We shoot 2 days straight through the weekend doing the short in Hollywood land. First thing in the morning, Monday, I'm on set and This Is Us. Then I'm hopping on a plane, flying back to Toronto. And this is the one and only time I've ever slept through an alarm in my life, because I was supposed to shoot that morning in Toronto. Next thing I know, there's a knock on my door and and there's me like passed out with the script on the bed, like on top of the bed, hadn't even gotten to bed, was just working on my lines. I let them in, and it was one of the producers had come to get me because I had fallen asleep, was not responding to phone calls or alarms because my body was just done.
Wow.
They understood because I'm always early, if not on time. So they went, as soon as they didn't hear back from me, they went, oh, something's up. We need to go up and get her. So that was all while shooting in Hollywood land.
I'm surprised you remember any of that.
Oh, yeah. I remember it clearly. The body never forgets that kind of future. But in Hollywood land was wonderful in so many ways. It was something I had written, and about a lot of experiences I'd heard of different actresses, different women in entertainment. Some of my experiences thrown in there too, and how it can very much seem like you're, going down the rabbit hole. And some very absurd things occur when when you speak them out loud. You're going, that's kind of absurd. Like, you were shooting in Toronto and you went to LA, and I mean, that's just the lighter side of it. But it was a short where I got to explore that, and it was something I had written back in my struggle actor years, where I felt, I needed to be creative. I needed to. As I was not getting work at that time, I needed to let it out. So to be able to come together with this incredible team to bring forward this, again, somewhat in genre, as we're kind of following Alice in Wonderland a little bit. You see a theme here with me. So we got to make that. And with the discussions that are happening, people should be able to publicly see it. I don't want to say an exact date yet. until I have the exact number. But yeah, thanks for asking about that.
That's fantastic.
Trekkies aren't really worried about, small details, right? Like,
or waiting till an unspecified date for something new to come out. So yeah, we're all used to that.
I love us Trekkies.
We do have some great Trekkies who called in to share the love today. So first up, let's hear from our good friend Michelle.
Hey, Open Pike Night. I am so glad that you're having Yetide Badaki on your show, because we had a fantastic conversation when I had the privilege to meet her at Trek Long Island. And we discussed Star Trek The Next Generation in depth. She is a Trek fan, legit. And it's just great to geek out and vibe with someone who's also been a part of the franchise. So thank you for that awesome conversation. And for my money, Ad Astra Per Aspera, that is right up there with TNG's Measure of a Man, if not surpassing it. So that was a great episode, and I hope that we see more of you in Strange New Worlds, and maybe just in Star Trek. That would be great. I also realized that you were in This Is Us, which was a show that I really enjoyed, and as well as NCIS New Orleans, another franchise that I do watch, which... For that show, Scott Bakula was the lead, and we also know Scott Bakula was Captain Archer in Enterprise. So I'm interested if you have any memories of working with Scott or in general on that show. And I really look forward to hearing what's up next for you. Thanks so much, guys. And also, finally, my Crusher connection, of course, is that awesome conversation I had with Yetide about TNG. Dr. Crusher, of course, came up. I would love to hear her thoughts, and I want to know, has she seen Star Trek Picard? And Dr. Crusher now. Anyhow, that's all for me. Live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper. Wow. I mean, incredible questions. Yes, Scott Bakula. Oh my gosh. The things I have to say about that man. Again, that little girl in Nigeria was watching him on Quantum Leap. And
Yeah.
I mean, talk about master class. What he did every week was just brilliant. And I really do think if we had been at a time that took genre a little more seriously, he would have been up for so many more awards. And so, yes, getting to actually meet him, you know how they say, oh, never meet your heroes? No, meet your heroes, meet them because they are wonderful, incredible human beings. He was such a classy human being. He was always looking out for everybody on that set, including how could he include someone that was an extra, like throw a line at them as a certain way that then uplifts their standing for that day so that they get paid differently. This is a man that, you know, has been doing this for how many years? He has how many things he has to memorize and all of that, but he knew everybody's name, shaking everybody's hand, last out of the, you know, travel car to set because he's helping people out and doing all of this. Not changing even his position on the call sheet where, yeah, technically he should be number one, so to speak. But he's going, I understand what currency that can be for somebody. I've had that. I'm going to put somebody else there. I mean, how classy is that?
Yeah.
So the only thing I remember, the only thing or the many things I remember is just what a class act he was and how he made me want to be as an actor on set. I want people to come off and experience the same way that I did coming off saying, I just met my childhood hero and he's amazing. I have seen Star Trek Picard because Trekkie. I've not finished it yet. I do this thing sometimes with shows I love. I'll go through a couple of episodes and then I'll save it for a very rainy day. And then I'm going, now I can sit down and just go through something I really enjoy. So I haven't finished it yet. Staying away from most people's spoilers. Did see some TNG coming back in there, which made my heart so happy. And, Beverly Crusher, of course you gotta love Beverly. And Gates McFadden, who plays her, is just so lovely. Had to deal with me gushing at Star Trek Las Vegas. Because, hardly being coherent. Because there was Beverly Crusher, and I just had to tell her how much it meant to me, everything that she's done and everything that she's doing.
That was a wonderful flashback, Eula. Thank you.
Yes,
I'm so sorry.
Nice. If you have to go, we understand.
But before you do, let's hear from another one of our great callers. Here is Zoe.
Open Pike Night. This is the USS Cinema. Zoe Richardson, Captain Commanding, also host of Backlick Cinema, the podcast. And I'd also like to welcome the fabulous and the absolutely incredibly talented Yetide Badaki. So, Yetide, you have famously portrayed a Middle Eastern goddess as well as an extraordinarily accomplished space litigator. Now, considering the roles that you've chosen, I can't help but wonder if you would consider playing a mutant, specifically the mutant Storm from the X-Men. The fans are speaking, and they say that you would make a fantastic version of Storm. I can't help but wonder what you think about such a thing. Not really a question, just my endorsement of this particular fan cast. And also, so I got a situation over here. It seems that one of my crewmen might need the services of a space litigator.
Yeah, I'm talking to her. Yeah, what are you talking about? You need a lawyer. You're in trouble. You need a lawyer.
Look, I didn't actually talk to my crewman before I came. I'm going to have this conversation, and then I'll get back to you. Richardson out.
Yeah, well, whenever you need a lawyer in space, you know who to call. Seriously, you all have some of the best questions right now. Some of the best fans. I know. See, this is why I love Trekkies. We get it. We get it all, including the fact that I would love to play the part of Storm. I would love to be the Hadari Yao. I would love. It's just. That was one, we keep having flashbacks, but that was one of the first, I remember those cartoons when I first moved to the States on Saturday mornings.
I'm watching them with my kid right now.
Oh, so good. So good. And there is just, she's such a layered character, and there's so much there. And that I would really like to see, I'm talking to you, Marvel, I would really like to see a standalone Storm film, where we get into her story. I mean, she is one of the most powerful mutants, Omega level threat over there, and also watch the new one, the 97.
Oh man,
so good. I mean, I was sitting there on the couch after one of the episodes sobbing, going, why am I crying right now? I'm watching a cartoon. It's just so wonderful, and that's just and the fans are calling for it, myself included, of getting into her story. And I might know a thing or two about Aurora Monroe, so it would be a quick study if you put me in, Coach.
I'll sign the petition.
Yeah, we'll CC Feige on this episode release.
Yes, let's please do.
Well, speaking of fan casting, I just have to ask, I've heard, maybe this is wrong, but from what you've been talking about so far, I don't think it is, that you're also a Lord of the Rings fan. What sort of Middle-earth character would you love to play if given the chance?
Ooh, I think I want to be an elf. I think I want to, I mean, as complicated as that can be, right? Those elves, they got some issues. Yeah, just one or two.
The Vulcans of the forest.
I know. They are literally the Vulcans of the forest. But I also want to play a Vulcan. Maybe that's why I want to play out my Vulcan dreams being an elf in Lord of the Rings. But, if they were calling with pretty much any role, I'm like, listen, I put on the Hobbit feet. What do you need? What do you need?
The ears, the feet.
And I think you all know that I love to read, and that was, these are the books of my childhood. Getting to play in that world would just be so much fun.
Well, we'll into the world of Star Trek here. We know, obviously, you've told us and told plenty of fans that you're a huge Trekkie before landing on Strange New Worlds, and that TNG is where you started. Would you consider that your home Trek, like the Trek you always would go back to if you needed to?
Yeah, it is definitely my home Trek. I like the way you put it. It's also the entry point. I think it's the same with Doctor Who, right? Everyone, whoever they entered with is usually their doctor, right? Yep. And then, you love every other regeneration, but you also cry when yours is going. But Next Generation was my in. And I just remember, oh my gosh, all of those individuals that I was actually talking about this with someone in quite specifically about how there was something in each character that resonated to me. I wanted to be as empathetic as Deanna. I wanted to be as confident as Riker. I wanted to be as morally centered as Picard, or as intelligent as Beverly, to have the integrity of Worf, and honor, right? All of these things, just I saw an aspect in each of these characters that I wanted to take on, and I wanted to just get on that ship with those people, like go to these places. Their was it business class, executive class ship. I mean, because they were traveling comfortably.
Oh man,
those were some nice spaces. and just the curiosity, the curiosity of Wesley. And this is the conversation that people are probably tired of me going on and on about it. But being in New York right now in UN Futures Week is actually really relevant in that it was a future where we weren't destroyed. It was a future where it wasn't another wasteland, and where there was hope of something, positive happening. And I think it's so important to see that in our storytelling. It's so important that we mirror that back to ourselves and not only think, oh, well, everything's just going to hell anyway, having that kind of viewpoint. And it's been really cool to meet all the fans, and fans in the most interesting places. One's a senator, one's, the judge on some of the highest courts, and also to hear their origin stories and the influences of Star Trek, of them moving into their field, and also taking on the ideas that Star Trek gave us of Roddenberry specifically, wanting us to have the idea of being able to grow up and to do better and to evolve. So it's, yes, that's a long way of answering your question, but Next Generation was my in.
No, it's a great answer. Yeah. After so many years of being a fan, you finally got to be a part of it. And was there like a single moment more than others that hit you, just the I'm in Star Trek moment? Like, was there one you can remember where it just hit you?
It might be unsuspected and unexpected, but it was when I went on the transporter. Because that's such a core Star Trek thing. And I was standing on there and I said, energize, and I start choking up. But I can't believe I'm here right now, being able to say energized and, probably disappearing into a whole bunch of different particles and all of that. But that was a moment that really landed. You are in Star Trek.
Was there a moment where your body thought you were about to be energized?
I was ready. I could have sworn it might have happened to some extent. I'm sure if you talk to everyone on set, there was a minute where I was not there.
Just a little disappointment afterwards. We were still standing there.
Still standing here. But so excited to be standing there, and it was just that hit me in a way that I didn't even understand it would.
That's awesome.
If I may, having just finished watching that episode again, when your character says energized to leave, I think some of that emotion came through because it is powerful. It's such a weird sci-fi word, right? But you deliver it in this way that is just subtle and perfect. And I'm a big fan of Star Trek in general, as we all three are, but I'm generally the gushy one. So I'm going to try and keep it strapped down for this.
Don't try. Do you see me? I'm just gushing freely.
So as far as, you've talked with a lot of fans, what are the biggest differences between American Gods fans and Trekkies?
That is interesting. I mean, and I think most people would agree that it's just more about the amount of time that fandom has had to grow, right? American Gods fans, it's quote unquote younger than a Star Trek fandom. Okay. So I would say that would be the biggest difference. And with Trekkies, I mean, as you pointed out, there are things that we already know. Like we go into all those details in such a way. There's a little more space, I think, with American Gods for interpretation, because it is a little more fantasy, right? There is science fiction in it as well, but there's a little more of a fantastical element. But what everyone has in common is their love of the subject matter, their love of genre, because many do tend to hop over. There is a shared passion between the fandom.
Now, I haven't seen American Gods yet. I was going to ask you to kind of pitch it because it's on the list. It just hasn't quite risen. There's so much out there right now.
Right.
But I was a fan of the book. Have you had a chance to meet Neil Gaiman?
I have, and I'm always a fan of great literature.
Mm-hmm.
I actually messaged Ian McShane the other day because we're both Libras.
Just texting Ian McShane.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to name drop. Just drop it in there. Did not mean to name drop, but it's working with such caliber of talent. Sorry, I should say Sir Ian McShane. I'm not sure he's actually been knighted, but in my mind, he is. And just getting the opportunity to work with someone like that, who I've looked up to for a very long time, and to work with people like Crispin Glover, who that man is fascinating. The first time we spent a good amount of time together was on a plane, and I literally met him with a kitchen sink. Like, he had a kitchen sink on his lap. I was sitting next to him, and I'm like, but if you meet Crispin, it's on brand.
That's how you want to meet Crispin Glover.
Yeah, he's such a wonderful artistic soul. And as soon as he knows we have a scene together, it's emails back and forth. Here are ideas, I have it, and what are your ideas? And then you also have where you're playing, you get to play with him on set. You get to actually play because he wants to get in and get into the meat of the scene and try it in all kinds of different angles. And then you hear from him at one point. He'll be like, "Oh, that was really good, right? That was good." He's just purely experiencing the art. It's so incredible to be able to do that with him. And then now I'm just going to gush about everybody. And then, of course, Emily. Oh, Emily, I love that woman. She is fierce. She's intelligent. She's so talented. And people forget, because of the age, that she's been doing this pretty much like longer than most people. Because if you remember her from, what was it, Lemony Snicket? As a child, and she's been doing this for such a long time and has such a beautiful understanding of the way that scenes work. And then Pablo, if you had told me the one that I'd be most in touch with, and it's, to me, I'm like, he's just one of my favorite people in the world. He's just a big teddy bear. He really is. Sorry, Pablo, I have to say it. Because he's taller than most people. People are always surprised. I'm surprised every time I see him how tall he is. And then it's also being big and muscular too. People don't understand the sweet human at the center of that. And he has always looked out for me and always continues to. And that man has one of the biggest hearts of anyone I know. And of course, Ricky and Bruce. Like, I love how you asked me this one question and then I start talking about everybody on set.
Well, we had to hit American Gods at some point, so
yeah. But wonderful people, and I've been very lucky.
So, moving specifically into Ad Astra Per Aspera, your character is introduced to us in a position of power over Captain Pike, and then proceeds to run the show for its duration. What does it feel like? What were your initial reactions to the script when you're discovering, oh, I'm the star of this episode?
Well, first off, listen, you're surrounded by a room of stars. Listen, Anson Mount, Rebecca Romaine, come on, Zelia, Melissa, Christina, Jess, Ethan, Babs. You're just surrounded by star power. You're surrounded by consummate professionals and incredibly talented actors. So you're going, I best bring my game, because you can't be showing up, trying to figure out your lines or not bringing it, because they're bringing it every single time.
Yeah.
Dana Horgan, who wrote the script, did do something really brilliant, because it was also a kind of jab and tongue in cheek at, I also have to talk about Melanie, who's another one of my favorite people in the world. We will send memes to each other like 24/7. Even while we're on set, that thing where you're sitting across from each other and you send one and you're like waiting for them to see the meme, and then they crack up and you're like, right. So Melanie is one of my favorite people, but her character, when she tongue in cheek says, and I believe this is Star Trek reflecting on itself, when she says to Pike, you got to sit this one out. No passionate speeches for you.
Mm-hmm.
It was right? It was very, very smart. And it was very, very pointed. And Dana Horgan in her writing was brilliant in so many ways, including that one. So reading the script, because I didn't get to read it before they cast me with all the NDAs. And it was Orly Sitowitz and Margey Simkin who had cast me, who had also cast me as Bilquis in American Gods. And they had sent this as an offer. We can't tell you more, but you're going to love this character. Just trust us. And I'm so glad I trusted them. Reading the script, I laughed, I cried, I did it all. It was just so beautifully written. Beautifully written. And that's when you sit there and you go, this is gold. And I get to play with this group of people. There's a lot of joy. I know there was brief mention of the brief panic moment where you're going, how much do I have to say? By what time now? But there's just the joy of getting to say these things. And this is the mark, I think, and I'm not the only one that says this. I think someone like Cate Blanchett says this. I'm just going to say Cate Blanchett because we all respect her acting. So if it came from her. But I believe she also said that there's something about great writing that it somehow sticks in your head a lot easier. Where writing is, maybe still finding its way, you will find, at least I find as an actor, it will take me like an hour to memorize 3 or 4 lines because I'm just going, wait, what's that next one? Wait, how does it? But when someone has written something so beautifully, it's like your body just wants to absorb it. It just, it wants to take it in and it wants to retain it. And that was Dana's work. Dana Horgan just did something brilliant here. And I really would like her to get more of her flowers for that moment.
I love it. We will reach out. We love talking to writers. Yeah. And to your point, I mean, in Simkin and Sitowitz, we trust. Like
yes,
when we spoke
did.
with them, when we spoke with them, we were like, "Oh, we owe you the world," because they really put together an insanely amazing cast. Yeah. So we have seen this sort of litigation episode before in Star Trek. We've got the court martial in the original series, Data's Day, or sorry, not Data's Day, The Measure of a Man mentioned for TNG. So how did you prepare for this role? Had you played a lawyer before, or was it like, I'm going to look at the Star Trek version of this, or how did you go about that?
That's the great thing about having passions, right? That's the great thing. And one thing I always say to people, that nothing is wasted. Because how many times have I watched those episodes? How many times have I watched Measure of a Man? Right? Just for fun. And then they're going, oh, you want me to do something like that? Oh, let me see if I can pull something up as a reference. So I'd already watched those. I'd already seen those. And as I was reading it and as we're, going and playing with it, I'm going, yeah, this is like this episode. Valerie Weiss, the director, was cracking up as I was going, where I was referring to very specific moments from Measure of a Man. And she goes, wow, you are a geek, aren't you? And it was, that was already that preparation. For preparation for Nearer 2, I think I've mentioned this before, where I was then pulling different parts from people, from Guinan, how Guinan has that smile that always kind of hides. You never know what's really going on behind it. Of course, I spoke of Cisco and the rhythms at times when he's trying to drum in a certain point. Of course, Picard and his impassioned speeches. They're just pulling from all of these greats. And I also happen to have a brother who's a lawyer. Yes, who owns a law firm. And it was funny because I was still under NDA, and I called him. I'm going, so I can't tell you what. I couldn't tell him I was playing a lawyer in space, but I would be playing a lawyer. What are some things? And one of the most brilliant things that if you go back and you watch, you'll see in there. And he goes, well, he says to me, I shouldn't have to tell you. It's theater. And I'm like, he's like, no, it's a stage. When you get up there, you're performing. and just bring that to it. And so there was a nice, and I love that they trusted me with this, because there was a nice juxtaposition between the quiet moments and things that she has with Lon, and when she's in more private spaces versus then she gets onto the stage and she brings props like the book and, things like that. I was very much able to lean into that. And it was such a great piece of advice because, yes, I have had many lawyers come up to me and go, no, she sounded convincing. I believed her.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That's perfect. Well, we got a couple more calls here. Here is our friend Melanie.
Hi guys. Hello Yetide. This is Melanie from Germany again. It's so cool you're the guest on this awesome podcast today. I actually don't have any questions, at least not right now, but all I want to say is that a friend and I, we really appreciate what you've done with your role of Nira Katul. She is inspiring, badass, and the lawyer we would call if we need a lawyer. You have a presence there, and the way you did the speeches in the courtroom, wow, it was terrific. It was such an amazingly awesome job. We would love to see more of Nira, like in a spin-off, like Law and Order, Star Trek. She is such a fascinating character. And her relationship with Una and the way both strive for the same ideals of fairness and justice, but taking a different path there, well, it was just amazing seeing it on the screen. I really would like to know more about her backstory. Anyway, Yetide, thank you for bringing this awesome character to our screen. I wish you all the best for the future. Live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper. Oh, wow, Melanie. Seriously, you've just warmed my heart. Thank you. Thank you so much. Such lovely things. I should, for my for my sense of well-being, hanging out with you seems like would be a great time. But I agree. Listen, I think a Star Trek Law and Order might have to be a thing. I mean, going through and really examining the foundations of the Federation and what it's built on, and really examining if it's doing things in the right way, it actually, to me, falls right into the ideas of Star Trek, of, trying to better ourselves and trying to see where we're making mistakes and see how we can change that. So I don't think it's very far out, an idea of that in the Star Trek world. So thank you, Melanie. If Nira wanted to go around traveling, I could just see her being that kind of reluctant, like they come get her, and she's like, but the Federation, and they're like, that's exactly why we need you, because we don't revere it in a certain way, and to help us examine it, we need someone who's has a different viewpoint. So. We're pitching it now, I guess.
Yeah, we have so many petitions to start, you guys. Like, we're gonna need to get another person in here. All right, John.
We need a lawyer to keep track of all this.
We need a lawyer.
Yeah.
John, let's hear from our very good friend Abby next.
Absolutely. Here we go.
Hey, Open Pike. It's Abby Summer from the First Flight Podcast. First of all, I want to say that Astra Per Aspera is a classic Trek episode, and I think it's going to be high in the ranks of Strange New World episodes overall whenever the series concludes. But what I really want to ask about today is costumes, which is no surprise to anyone at the Open Pike team because I always love the costumes. But the costuming in this episode, besides possibly being my favorite dress uniforms of all time, holy cow, I want a lawyer as sharp as this one. Could you talk a little bit about the costuming and how it helps you find your character or portray your character? And did you get to keep anything? Because every part of that, down to the accessories, was impeccable. And I know I might have tried to, just walk away with some because, wow, amazing. So I hope this finds all of you and yours well, and we'll talk soon.
Hey, Abby, thank you for that question, because now I can gush about Bernadette Croft, the costume designer on Strange New Worlds. And, we started, I think I was originally in Spain, and she's like, okay, we need a Zoom. And I'm going to try and get your measurements, and we're going to start talking through some stuff, way before you even get into town. And yes, the costumes were very intentional. They were I was kind of cracking up earlier this year because I felt like a lot of the style found its way into. I'm looking at Vogue, I'm looking at all these things, and I'm going, that seems inspired by Bernadette Croft's designs, but who am I? What do I know about the fashion industry? But it was very intentional in that Nira was not someone that shies away. She's no shrinking flower or violet. She very much is proud of her Illyrian heritage. And she was someone that was always going to show up fully as herself, not trying to blend in any way and go unnoticed. And so every piece, we talked through every piece of jewelry, and everyone was doing that. That's everyone from hair, Daniel Losco, to makeup, Scotia Boyd. And it was all things that said, this woman is proud of who she is. And she's coming into a space and saying, see me, whether you like it or not, I'm here. And you're going to deal with me as I am. All of these things were thought through with even the cut of the hair and the sharpness of that. And with costume, because we looked at the courtroom and how there were many circular round spaces, and for her to come in with angles being juxtaposed with that. Even the nails and the angles on the nails was intentional. And they were stick-on nails, and I was so worried about them at first, because if you see my hands right now, I have very short nails. I've never had long nails. So they have these press-ons, and I'm going and, trying to move things on set in character, and I'm going, I don't want everyone to have to stop every 5 minutes because Yetide needs to put her nails back on. Right. And there was one moment where one did disappear. They had made doubles, but for some reason that finger didn't have it. And so this crew, wonderful, incredible crew, thank you all, was just, they were crawling into corners looking for like anywhere this bespoke nail had gone that Scotia had made. But Valerie Weiss, the director, did insist. There was a moment at the beginning where I was handling the briefcases, I was doing all that, and I was concerned that I would hold up production. And I was going, maybe we don't do the nails. And Valerie said, no, you know what? This is Nira.
Ah.
Right? And it's funny to hear your director say, but I only lost that nail once, because the rest of the time it's true. This is Nira. These are extensions of who she is. And so it became all part of the character. And what people didn't see is we're laughing, saying I would need a leaning post like they used to have for the actresses in the 30s or something, because I couldn't sit with a lot of this stuff because it would wrinkle up. So you just see me posted up in corners like this, just kind of leaning against the wall because I couldn't sit down. The only times, and so that also meant, because a lot of what people missed too were the shoes were amazing. They got some really cool things, so you don't see them all the time, but of course it then adds to the character because there's a certain way you stand and you now move, the way you walk becomes a whole different thing because you got these shoes on and you gotta respect them. But they also pinch a lot, so in between you would have these lovely crew members pulling, as I'm leaning against the wall, pulling off my boots, and then also trying to get them on minutes before they call us on camera. And it was just, I looked comical in between, but it all came together whenever they called action, which was great.
That's
completely
fantastic.
agree with that. Yeah.
Well, we have one more caller on our stage this evening, and that is Mark. So here we go.
Engineer Mark here. Welcome to the show, Yetide. It was great meeting you at Trek Long Island. All I have is a comment. The guys recently did a pod episode for the top 3 of Strange New Worlds. And for me, Ad Astra is firmly that number 1. Really the essence of a Star Trek episode. It asks hard questions on an important subject, and everyone associated with Una works towards that in a very positive manner. None more than Nira working for the inclusion of their people. With a bit of convincing from Pike, she does that with such an impressive style, for sure. Even in rewatching, it's an episode that still gives me goosebumps. The message that Instead of excluding or even fearing differences, we should not only accept but maybe even celebrate them. That is something I do understand and believe in. For a cast and crew who already set such a high bar on Strange New Worlds, in Ad Astra you brought a powerful performance that for me pushed that bar just that much higher. Hope we get to see Nira again on the show at some point. Thanks, and live long and prosper.
Oh, thank you, Mark. That's so lovely, so very kind, and you're right. Bringing it all the way around, it did remind me as I read it of the things that I fell in love with when I was introduced to Star Trek at a young age, and where it had influenced my worldview that, we could do better, we could grow up, we could evolve. Yes, it's not always easy, but when you take the time to examine different situations and look at them through different lenses and understand then that you need that diversity in order to be able to look at it in so many different angles, that something quite beautiful can be created. It was an absolute honor to be able to be a part of this world in the ways in which it has actually influenced me.
So I had one more question, but you basically just answered the whole thing right there, and that
was great.
So instead of that, I am just gonna say, on behalf of all the callers, on behalf of the three of us, on behalf of everybody who loves this episode, thank you so much for what you brought to it, because they're right. Like, this is a all-timer. This is one of those episodes that people are going to see and decide, I want to be a lawyer, or I want to be an actor. I want to tell stories that matter. And I'm just deeply grateful that we got some time with you today and some time with you on our screen. So thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, thank you all. Thank you, Jesse, for that beautiful. That almost seemed like a Picard impassioned speech.
You guys heard it. She said it out loud. That's it. That's another medal on the uniform, guys.
But truly, thank you. And it's wonderful to be able to hear this from a group of people I love so much myself. I didn't want to disappoint fans in any way in jumping into the world, and the response has been so heartwarming, and it has definitely continued to fill my sense of purpose. So thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And thank you. And of course, Open Pike Night is an Open Mic Night themed podcast. And so we do ask our guests to bring us and tell us a joke. Yetide Badaki, do you have a joke for us today?
Okay. So, you can tell stand-up is really my background. No, I'm teasing. I'm very much teasing. But there was always a joke, and I'm going to relate this back to the profession that I've chosen. But there was always a joke amongst Nigerians of there's only really 3 professions that Nigerian children are allowed, which is doctor, lawyer, or disgrace to the family. I obviously chose disgrace to the family, but it worked out. So I've been very lucky.
Have you played a doctor yet? Because you've got the lawyer.
I haven't done a doctor yet. So I've done a nurse, but doctor, I feel it's coming soon.
Mm-hmm.
So it's right near you.
Is there anything you'd like to promote? Speaking of things coming up.
Things coming up. Yes, I believe you already heard in Long Island as well. I'm executive producer and starring in a series based on the 17th century queen in what is now Angola. A fierce warrior queen who was a brilliant tactician, and she burst onto the scene and shook a lot of things up. And her name is Queen Zinga, and that's also the name of the series. And I'm developing that with Lionsgate and Stars, and I cannot wait for people to see it. It's gonna be something.
It sounds like it.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that either. Wow.
So yes, check it out.
Thank you, Yetide, for being with us today. This was a great conversation. I'm glad we could make it happen.
I'm so glad and again, thanks for your patience in getting here, but we did it.
We did it.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes. All right, you all have an amazing day. And really, really, thank you so much. Really.
Well, that was a great interview, and we had some great callers. And Jesse, we do want other people to be great callers on our show. How can they do that?
The easiest way for them to do that is to just go to openpike.com. Everything involving Open Pike Night is there at openpike.com. You can call in. You can find our merch. You can find links to our Patreon. I mean, you can see every episode we've ever done all in one place at, what's that website again? openpike.com.
That's fantastic. And Cameron, where can folks hear more from you and I?
You can hear John and I over at Green Shirt, a newbie's trek through the next generation, where I'm making my way through TNG for the first time. I'm a bit behind where Yetide was, but I've got single-digit number of episodes left to watch of TNG. It kind of hit me last night when I was watching Thine Own Self. That was number 10, so now it's just single digits, guys. It's crazy. I'm barely green.
I love that episode. I freaking love that episode.
Spoilers, yeah. So do I. I can't wait to talk about it. But yeah, come check us out at GreenShirt87 on Twitter, GreenShirt and Newbies Trek Through the Next Generation, wherever you get your podcasts.
Fantastic. Well, it has been a long night, and the Open Pike Night crew has to go plead our case before space judges because, man, we've been getting judged pretty harshly lately, and we got to go tell them off. I'm sure we'll do just as good a job as Yetide did in that episode. So be sure to clean up after yourselves. Be sure to tip your servers. You can go anywhere you want, but you can't stay here.
And they tried to keep it from you, but I am on the next episode of Green Shirt. Just keep that in mind.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I haven't started editing it yet.